Hello guys, welcome back to another exciting Webflow tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about CSS classes. In the previous tutorial, I was talking about the box model. Please go ahead and check that out because that really explains what we're doing and it kind of relates. So just to bring it back, because this is how important it is if you want to become a Webflow developer, a box model is essentially everything in the website is just a bunch of boxes put together. But now if you really think about it, every single element, for example, if I click onto this heading, is technically a box. So that's what I'm talking about. And the reason why it's important is because we can now style the boxes. We talked about parent, we talked about containers, not containers, we talked about parents and children, how the children listens to the parent. This is the exact same premise. It actually carries over. That's why I'm saying look at the video. But nevertheless, you'll notice that everything is a box. I'm going to keep saying box. I don't care how annoyed you guys get. Like, that's the reality. Everything's a box. So if I click onto this icon right here, you can see this is a box. If I click onto this text, this is technically a box. This is a box right here. Every single thing is a box. This line right here that you can see, it may look like a box, but in this case, it's actually a border. So if I click onto this box right here and I scroll down to the right-hand side, you can see it has a border right here. But everything is a box. There is no escape from the box model. That's something to keep in mind. And what you'll notice is that because everything's a box, you can select that specific box. And again, on the left-hand side, I have this navigator that is pinned, so you can always see it. And you can even see it at the very bottom, where this body is inside this page wrapper, inside this section, inside this container, inside this box, 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 and then inside this is this text right here. So this text heading 4 is literally in all these boxes that you can see at the very bottom of my screen, and you can even see in the panel right here. No ways around it. But what you'll notice is this box, right, is called heading 4. And the reason why it's called heading 4 is because it's been named heading 4. This is something called a class, right? So on the right-hand side, you can see it's a class because it has a tag. Right here, it says heading 4. That is what a class is. Whoops, sorry, that's style. And if you go on the very bottom, this specific class is actually styling the box, right? It's technically, if you look back from my previous video, it's literally the child and it's defining its own rules. And it's saying that with this class right here, I want this font size to be 23 pixels. I want the line height to be 1.3 EMs. I want the font color to be white. So I can go ahead and click this and change it to purple. And you'll notice that it changed from white to purple. And not only did this specific text change, but every other text change. And again, I'm not going to call it a text. I'm going to call it a box, just to annoy you guys even more. This specific box has a class of heading 4, but so does this box right here, so does this box right here, and so does this box right here. That's why when you make one change to a class, it automatically affects every other box. So that's the benefit of CSS class. If everything in a website is just a box, and you can tell there's so many boxes inside a website, why do I have to define each one of the boxes? It'll take 10 million years. So instead, you can give it a class, and you can share the moral values or the styling options. So in this case, it's sharing that the color is purple. So I'm going to go ahead and Command Z. That's a nutshell of what a CSS class is. But make no mistakes, every single box has a class. So right now, if I click onto this heading 1 right here, you can see it's saying heading 1 right here. And like I just said, all the classes are put right here underneath this style selector. It says selector class or tag. This may be deceptive. You may be like, wait a minute, there is no box right here. Because for example, if I hit onto this button right here, you can see it has a CSS class of button inner. But if I hit onto this heading 1 text, it's like, wait a minute, this Derek guy is saying everything has a class, everything's a box. I don't even know what's going on, but this doesn't have anything. Like, I'm not blind, right? It's empty. That's because it actually has a different type of class. If I actually hit this button right here, it actually has a HTML class, this pink tag of all heading 1. That is the root class. That is the root class. Then you can say this is like the parent. This is the ultimate parent. The pink tag is the ultimate parent. So just like the body, how everything in the box model is listening to its parents, the body is the ultimate parent. So everything will listen to the body unless you clearly define different rules. Exact same things for headings. So right now in heading 1, this pink tag, if I was to change this font size to 72 pixels, that means all heading 1 will change to 72 pixels unless you put a specific class into it. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this heading 1, right? And I'm going to go ahead and just change this top text to be top text LOL, right? These both don't have like technically a blue tag class. These are both using this pink tag right here, or heading 1. Now if I change this font size from 72 pixels to 48, you notice that it's affecting both of them. That's because they're using the same class. In this case, it's this pink tag class. Just remember, everything in Webflow has a class, even if you cannot see it. But now what I can do is in this heading 1, I can go ahead and type in a class. So I can type in maybe heading 1-LOL. And then here's another thing, what do I name my class name? I'm going to not talk about this in this video. There is standard ways of naming things. The reason why you want to name a class is because when other people go into your website, they should understand what it is. And when you start to scale your website, or when you visit your website like 2 years later, you don't want to like have really confusing classes. So again, it's not about naming the class, but let's just say, for example, I can give this a class, a name of anything. I can just type in like this, you know what I mean? And I hit enter. That's literally my class name. It's just that when someone goes into this, they'll be like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. So name your class to what makes sense. But yes, there is a technical way of naming stuff, like a conventional way. But there is no, police that's going to come in and be like, oh, why'd you name it this way? Because at the end of the day, whatever looks good on the front end, no one's going to, go into the website, right? No one's going to go into your website, right click, hit inspect, and then click this inspect tool and look at article and be like, oh, this guy named this class h1.tan. Like no one cares unless you're a developer. So name it whatever you want, but just name it something relevant. Okay, so I put this class right here, and what I can do now is I can change this size from 48 pixels to 32 pixels. And you'll notice this only changes this text right here and not this text right here. That's because this has a class of, again, I'm going to rename it. To rename a class, you can actually just click on it, and then I can just type in heading 1 dash. I'm just gonna have fun with it, all right? I'm just gonna put this class of heading 1 dash LOL. And because this has a class of h1-lol and this one does not, it's not inheriting it, right? Now if I go back to this heading 1 and I click onto that pink tag right here, if I change this size from 48 to 72, what do you think is going to happen? I'll give you some time to think about it. All right, I'm going to hit enter. And you'll notice only this has affected. But why is that? I thought the pink tag was the parent. That's because this specific class right here, h1-lol, has a style overridden of 32 pixels. And you notice that it has an override of the style because it has this blue tag right here. You see how the font color of size is blue, and then maybe the font is in orange? If it's in blue, it means that this specific box, this specific child, is essentially defining its own rules. It's not going to inherit anything that is in a blue text. So for example, this height where it says 105 EMs, it's in orange right now. That means if I go back into this heading 1 and I go back to heading 1, this pink tag right here, and I change this line height to, let's say, 2 unitless height and hit enter, you'll notice that this is now changing over because it's inheriting from the parent and it's not defining its own rules. So I hope you guys really, really understand that. But that's essentially what classes are. Now what I can do is I can actually go ahead and go into this heading 1 lol, and I can even just define this own height. So maybe I want to put this to 1 dash. And you'll notice that this doesn't affect this one right here. Now what's interesting is if I actually just copy this heading 1 and I paste it right here, this heading 1 lol class, I can go ahead and copy this. And in this heading 1 right here, I can go ahead and paste it in this specific text right here. And now it's inheriting the class. And you know what's crazy is because everything's just a box, I can apply the same class not just to a typography, but I can apply it to anything. Like for example, an image. So if I go ahead and just add an image element right here, so right here, I can go ahead and add that class of h1lol, and you can see it's inheriting the font size of 32 pixels and a height of 1 pixel. here's another example. I can go ahead and maybe add some margin right here. So I'm holding Option. I'm just going to put some margin of 48 or 46 pixels. So you can see the green box, it's putting space in between the boxes. And you'll notice it's doing that for every single class right here, regardless if it's a text, regardless if it's an image, regardless if it's a video, because it's sharing the same class. And like I said, all this text, all these images, all these videos, all these elements, they're all just boxes at the end of the day, So again, watch my previous video. But I hope that made sense. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. And in order to clear out styles, because it's in a blue tag, you can actually hold Option and click on it, and it removes it back. Or you can click on it and hit reset right here, and it goes ahead and resets it. So if it's orange, it means it's inheriting from the parent. If it's just like no color, like gray, that's just by default, that's just how it is. And if it's blue, it means it's writing its own, it's defining its own rule in that specific class. Now let's talk about combo class. So in this specific case, these two texts has heading 1 lol, and in this heading 1 dash lol, I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and you can add another class on top of this class. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a name of like red, hit enter. And now I'm going to go ahead and go into the typography color and change the color from white. I'm going to detach this instance so I can go into the swatch, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to red. You notice now it's red. And not only that, but I'll go ahead and put a background color right here of, let's just say, white. So now what we notice is that this combo class of red inside h1-lol has a typography of red. You notice this because it has this blue tag right here, and it's also putting in its own background image white right here where it has white. So now technically we have 3 different classes. We have this one right here, the header 1 pink tag, which is still the parent, but in this example right here, this is h1-lol, this is the child, so it's listening to the parent, everything it's saying, but anything with the blue tag, it's saying, hey, I want to be rebellious, I want to make my own style, I want to make my own rules, my own moral values, etc. So now it's taking 32 pixels with a line height of 1, and then we have combo classes, which is taking in from heading 1 lol, so it's taking in the styles from this one here, it's also taking in from the parent styles, but it's saying I'm going to define my own rules yet again. I'm going to change my typography color to red and my background color to white. So that is an intro to classes. Again, it gets more deep than that. But the main premise is classes allows you to style boxes very easily, and you can reuse that specific styling. You can do other stuff like whenever you make an interaction, you can apply it to a class rather than doing it manually. So for example, you might want to put an animation to this text. So when it loads, it loads up. But in order to do that to every single box, you have to manually click plus, add in like a scroll up animation, which will take ages. And then the client might say, I don't like this scroll up animation. Can you make it scroll down? So instead of doing it all one by one, you just affect the class. So that's class in a nutshell. Let me know if I missed anything, but I hope you guys get the main premise. And my name is Derek. I hope you found this video super helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.